So you're in the comedy category,
Yeah.
but for those of us who haven't encountered your work before, what can we kind of come to expect from the Rama Nicholas brand of comedy?
Well, the shows that I do, my show After Ever After is a one-woman grim fairy tale musical. And I play 20 different characters and I do all the dialogue from each character. So it's not like monologues, it's like lines from each character. And it's kind of like a movie. It's sort of, it's like a play really, but it's sort of set up like a movie, you know, jumping scenes in relationships and stuff like that. I'm not making much sense right now, but yeah, it's a very linear story, so.
And how do you go about developing something like that? What was the, I should firstly congratulate you for winning the Moosehead.
Oh, thanks.
You're so welcome. Obviously, that gave you a whole heap of other opportunities that you perhaps wouldn't have encountered if you hadn't have won that. I suppose what I mean by that is support and whatnot.
That was incredible.
And what did that mean for the development of After Ever After? So
when I received a Moosehead, they call it an award, but I think it's really a grant. So you become the recipient of a grant, really. It freed me up because you receive all these services, like you receive a producer, publicist, and all this other stuff that you kind of can get bogged down with as an artist when you're producing your own work. I was free of all that, so I was really allowed to just focus on the work and focus on the script and put my heart and soul into that as opposed to being distracted by the other things. So that was such a great gift. It was really incredible. And the Moosehead peeps are so incredibly supportive. Yeah, really in every way. I couldn't have asked for more. Yeah. So it's not exclusive to the Fringe Festival. So what has changed? Has anything changed in the time that you did the show for Comedy Festival and now? Well, yeah, like when you re-rehearse, I mean, you must be familiar with this. When you re-rehearse, you,
Let's go. Are you sure we did that? Why would I have done that? That's a shit idea. Anyway, it's a bit like that, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But when you rehearse, you find more. You know, you find richer kind of elements, and especially with my characters seem to develop even further and become even more detailed. But for Fringe, I'm going to expand on a little bit of my choreography in the musical numbers, because for Comedy Festival, I had a really great space, but it was kind of tiny. So I was quite limited physically. So now I have a really big space. I can kind of branch out a little more, and I'm going to elaborate a tiny bit on my costumes. Yeah. That's it. All I heard was like, I'm going to zhuzh some parts and then we'll add some bling over here and probably rehem that one. Yeah. Do you find that with comedy in Fringe and comedy in the Comedy Festival, you approach things differently or you're given more depth? No. I just, I kind of see it the same. Like, my audience is my audience, and I want to give them what I gave my last audience, you know, and I'm going to give it all. You know, I'm not going to give anything different to what I previously did. I mean, sure, there's little changes like what we just talked about, but yeah. Yeah, you don't approach them. You don't approach that audience any differently. Yeah. Now, you are the creator and the only performer in the show. Yeah. Does that make you a control freak? Yes. Do you have control over everything, or are there some parts of the show that you actually, hand over to other people, or? Yeah, so I've got like 60 sound cues. Right, that's ambitious. Yeah, so me and my sound and lighting person, because often they're the same person, we have to work really closely together. Yeah. So yes, I have to hand over. One every 50 seconds? Yeah, it's like one a minute or something like that. Yeah. That's good. So it's really intense. So we have to work really closely together and be in sync with each other. But having said that, if we mess it up, it's pretty fun too. And because of my years of impro, messing it up is often funner and funnier than getting it right every single time. So yeah, yes, I rely heavily on my sound person. How long has it been since you had that initial idea for the show? When I was creating when I was performing Death Rides a Horse, my last show,
the idea came up then during my last show.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised that it came up while I was being creative, you know, but I don't know how these things work, but it came up then, and when I have an idea, I'm very visual. I tend to gather lots of images. I watch lots of movies. I'm a big fan of movies. I study kind of narrative and story. Being an improviser, it's really important to be able to make up stories on the spot, not just funny skits. So I want to satisfy my audience with, you know, a hero's journey or, you know, some kind of character development. So I'll start looking at the genre that I'm interested in. So my genre is grim fairy tales, which were originally written for adults, not for kids. And I'll just sort of mine that for bits of gold and things that I'm really interested in that stick out for me. Yeah, but most of the stuff that I'm really interested in is like, you know, breaking gender stereotypes and life's not all what it seems.
So that's where like the adaptation comes into
it. Yeah.
And were you interested in grim fairy tales as a child?
Yeah, I was, yeah. I think like most of us, we're told these tales. I mean, they're in the form of Disney most of the time, but
True.
But then, you know, you can get those little German grim tales, and they're quite scary.
Yeah.
They're quite gruesome. Like, I was reading the originals for my research, and they're not kids' stories. There's like heaps of torture and
how do you make that
death.
Funny?
I don't know. I don't know.
After Ever After is being performed as part of the Melbourne Fringe. When can I see it and where can I see it?
So it's on at the North Melbourne Town Hall at 7:45 from September the 19th to October the 5th.
Amazing. We'll see you there.
Yay.